Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed. Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. The number of infections from Metro Manila now only account for about 13% of the country's total number of coronavirus disease cases, according to the Department of Health. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergara said on today's virtual presser, the number of infections in the National Capital Region has been decreasing since the recent surge in cases early this year. The health official bared that about 40% of the total number of infections in the country were from the rest of Luzon. About 25% were from Mindanao, while about 20% were from the Visayas. In its latest monitoring report, the Octa Research Group said the number of new cases in areas within NCR Plus resumed a downward trajectory after a week of unstable trends. The independent research team reported that the reproduction number in Metro Manila from May 31 to June 6 was 0.74, while the one-week growth rate in new cases was negative 11%, with a positivity rate of 9%. However, experts expressed concern over the situation over Davao City, Cagayan de Oro, General Santos, Coronadal, Cotabato City in Mindanao, Bacolod, Iloilo City, Dumaguete in the Visayas, and Tuguegarao. Citing the data from the DOH, Octa reported that Davao City is projected to surpass Quezon City with the highest number of new cases this week. DOH also reminded the public that parties and other forms of mass gatherings are prohibited amid the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Vergara reminded local government units and the public that parties and other mass gatherings are banned as the threat of the COVID-19 remains. The health official said key government agencies recently signed a joint memorandum circular on guidelines governing violators of health and safety ordinances, quarantine-related violations, and other related violations during public health emergencies. Vergara noted that the recent surge in cases indicated that the public should not be complacent in adhering to the safety and health protocols. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque said there should be an international agreement to have a standard certificate so it will not be difficult for countries to authenticate COVID-19 vaccination cards. Roque made a statement after the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases allowed Filipinos who were fully vaccinated in the Philippines to enter the country and undergo only a week of facility-based quarantine. In his remarks during the ceremonial vaccination of members of the A4 priority group in Pasay City, Roque explained why it would be difficult to implement the same rules to Filipinos who were vaccinated overseas. At present, all returning overseas Filipinos are required to undergo a 10-day facility-based quarantine and another 4 days at their destination.
Wala pa po tayong kasunduan sa buong daigdig kung paano natin mabe-verify yung authenticity ng mga vaccination card sa buong daigdig. Ang personal kong pananaw bilang isang nagturo po ng international law sa UP ng 15 taon, baka kinakailangan magkaroon ng isang international na kasunduan kung dapat magkaroon ng standard na vaccination certificates. Nang sa ganun, hindi po problema ang pag-authenticate kung totoo ba o peke yung vaccination card.
A light at the end of the tunnel. That is the message from President Rodrigo Roa Duterte during the ceremonial vaccine rollout for the A4 priority group or the essential workers today, June 7. Duterte said the bulk arrival of coronavirus vaccines in the country allows the government to inoculate more people. However, Duterte reminded people to continue to observe health protocols despite receiving their vaccines. Duterte also said that the country has reached a major milestone in the fight against the pandemic with the start of the mass vaccination, particularly the essential workers in the public and private sectors.
I am pleased to join you today as we mark a major milestone in our battle against COVID-19. We can now see the light at the end of the tunnel as the vaccine shipments have started to arrive in bulk. This development is the result of our national government's aggressive efforts to secure sufficient doses from the different manufacturers. With the start of our mass vaccination, the A4 priority category, our workers in both public and private sector will have an added layer of protection against the disease. To my dear kababayans, let us keep in mind that vaccination is the only way forward for us to overcome this pandemic. But we must also remember that getting vaccinated is not the only solution. We must continue to observe minimum public health standards by wearing a mask, washing our hands, and observing social distancing. Maraming salamat at mag-ingat tayong lahat.
In Metro News, Mayor Chanco calls for immediate inoculation of the working class in Navotas. Belmonte urges Quezon City business firms to get safety seal certification. And Manila inaugurates the first Muslim cemetery and cultural hall. More from these reports.
Navotas City Mayor Toby Tiangco is pushing for the immediate vaccination of individuals under the A4 category so that they can go home to their families without fear of getting infected with COVID-19 from work. Tiangco made the recommendation Friday night as he said most of those under the A4 category or essential economic workers are the ones who test positive for COVID-19 in the city. In the recent data from the local government, nearly 40,000 Navotas residents already received the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Meanwhile, at least 10,866 residents have already completed their vaccination. Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte has called on owners and operators of business establishments in the city to comply with the Safety Seal certification program of national government. By signing Executive Order Number 13, Series of 2021, Belmonte enjoined all establishments to apply for a Safety Seal which they can get by complying with minimum health protocols, including the use of city's accredited contact tracing app, QC Pass. She issued the order to ensure the health and safety of the public against COVID-19 as more business establishments are now allowed to operate. Through the order, the QC government will adopt the Joint Memorandum Circular Number 21-01 of the national government, mandating local government units to create a Safety Seal certification committee that will inspect and verify eligible registered business establishments that wish to apply for a Safety Seal. The first Muslim cemetery and cultural hall in Manila City was inaugurated today, June 7. Manila Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso together with Vice Mayor Hani Lacuna and Manila Muslim Affairs Chief Director Shay Sakaluran Mohammed led the inauguration ceremony at the Manila South Cemetery. In his speech, Dumagoso said the cemetery and cultural hall are simple tokens of appreciation for efforts of Muslims in the early times fighting for the independence and sovereignty of the country. Dumagoso said Muslims in Manila had to go different provinces or cities to lay their relatives to rest, or some even go back to Mindanao. Muhammad said the inauguration of Manila Muslim Cemetery and Cultural Hall is a monumental and historic day for Muslims in the city. He said no Manila mayor has done more for Muslims brothers and sisters and have stood up for them like Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso.
Here are the top news in other parts of the country. Benguet seeks NTF help to intensify COVID-19 testing. Tocurong City Mayor succumbs to COVID-19. And IED blast in Masbate kills an FEU football player and his cousin. Let's check out the details.
The Provincial Interagency Task Force of La Trinidad Benguet will ask the National Task Force Against COVID-19 to help boost its prevent, detect, isolate, treat, reintegrate strategy. Governor Melchor Diclas said that they need to do more aggressive testing and that the molecular laboratory at the province-managed Benguet General Hospital currently processes about 500 swab samples daily. He added that they will coordinate with the NTF so that they can access the assistance of the Basis Conversion Development Authority that conducts tests. The planned testing is the province's bid to be downgraded from the current Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine status, which surprised officials because of their low number of daily cases and low hospital care utilization rate. Tacurong City Mayor Angelo Montilla has succumbed to COVID-19 while undergoing medication at a hospital in General Santos City on Sunday night. Tacurong City spokesperson Alan Freno said the mayor had tested positive for COVID-19 and was brought to a hospital in General Santos City. Before his death, Montilla continued to physically report to work despite the risk brought about by the pandemic. Vice Mayor Lino Montilla, the late mayor's brother, will assume as city mayor. A football player of the Far Eastern University and his cousin were killed while a minor was injured in an improvised explosive device explosion allegedly perpetrated by the New People's Army in Purok 4 Barangay Anas, Masbate City on Sunday, June 6. The victims were identified as Nolven Absalon, 40 years old, and his cousin FEU varsity player Keith Absalon, 21 years old. Nolven's son, Chris Bin, sustained injuries and was taken to the Masbate Provincial Hospital in Masbate City. Reports said an IED planted by the NPA exploded while the victims were cycling. Authorities ordered the deployment of an additional police team in the area, and all adjacent police stations were also directed to conduct checkpoints.
In world news, UK Health Minister said Delta variant 40% more transmissible. Fear of testing and vaccine hampers COVID-19 fight in rural India. And Harry and Meghan announced their daughter's birth after a tumultuous year. Details in these reports.
The Delta variant, known as the Indian variant, is estimated to be 40% more transmissible than the Alpha variant that caused the last wave of infections in the UK, according to Britain's health minister. Concerns are mounting over whether the emergence of Delta variant threatens the government's provisional June 21 deadline for lifting various restrictions. The health minister nevertheless stressed that those who have had 2 doses of vaccine should be protected against illness from the Delta variant. Public Health England said last month that research showed double vaccination was similarly effective against both the Kent and Delta variants. With India devastating recent virus surge easing in cities, the deadly pandemic is ravaging the vast poverty-stricken rural hinterland where ignorance and fear rule. Just 15% of people in rural areas, compared with 30% in towns and cities, have received at least 1 vaccine dose so far, even though 2/3 of cases are being reported in the countryside, according to an analyst by the Hindu Daily. In other states, reports have emerged of people jumping into rivers or fleeing into forests just to escape mobile health teams. India's COVID-19 tally rose to 28,694,879 on Saturday, with 120,529 new cases recorded in the past 24 hours, the lowest in the past 2 months, said the Federal Health Ministry. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced Sunday the birth of their daughter Lilibet Diana, named for Harry's grandmother Queen Elizabeth II and his late mother, in a moment of joy capping a year of increasingly strained ties between the couple and the British royal family. The baby, who will be 8th in line to the throne, was born healthy on Friday in the Southern California city of Santa Barbara. Shortly after the announcement, a Buckingham Palace spokeswoman said the Queen and the British royal family had been informed and were delighted with the news of the birth of the daughter for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Harry's father Charles and brother William and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson sent their congratulations. The couple lived in the United States following their decision to quit frontline royal duties early last year.
In entertainment, A Filipino-American beauty contestant in Connecticut broke barriers as she competed with a shaved head due to alopecia. Let's find out a little bit more about her in this report.
A Filipino-American beauty broke barriers when she competed in the Miss Connecticut USA 2021 beauty pageant with a shaved head due to alopecia. On Instagram, Renee Reyes said she did not win the crown, but she felt honored to win a special award in the competition. Reyes received the Miss Connecticut USA 2021 award, recognizing her efforts in community service. She also shared that she is feeling on top of the world and totally elated. She also revealed that this will not be her last pageant, saying that she will keep pushing forward and by next year she will come back as an even stronger candidate.
And now in sports, Filipino teenager Yuka Saso captured the U.S. Women's Open Golf Championship over the weekend, making her the very first Filipino to win the tournament. Details in this report.
Filipino teenager Yuka Saso birdied the third play of hole to beat Japan's Nasa Hatauka and win the U.S. Women's Open Golf Championship at the Olympic Club on Sunday. Saso shook off two early double bogeys, coming back with late birdies at 16 and 17 in a 2 over 73 to thrust herself into a playoff with a 4-under total of 280 for 72 holes. Saso matched South Korean Park In-B as the youngest winners in the championship's history at 19 years, 11 months, and 17 days and earned her an LPGA Tour membership. Saso is the first Filipino player to win the U.S. Women's Open Golf Championship.
Our warmest congratulations to Yuka Saso for making Filipinos around the globe so proud. Mabuhay! And those are the news on web today, June 7, 2021. For more news and details, get your copy of the Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow, or you can log on to www.mb.com.ph. You may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin. Join us again tomorrow. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.